Bitcoin, how are you guys? All right. I love this conference. Congrats to them. I'm excited. I'm sure I'll be here next year. Last year at this conference, I stood on this stage and I gave probably one of my most important talks and one of my most emotional talks in my career. I heard that. Thank you for that. There were tears. I was very emotional. And I felt it was like very importantly authentic to remind us of what money has done to us and how important building a better money is to us. But it was very sad. It was very real. It was very raw. And coming into this year's conference, we're in a bear market. And I didn't want to do that to you guys. I didn't want to be very sad and very down, because I actually feel tremendously inspired. Yes, things have been better in the world than they are today, but I do feel very confident that we're ending what has been a turbulent chapter of human history, and we're beginning what I think is a renaissance. So this year's talk is going to be a lot more inspiring, hopefully insightful, a little weird, but we'll do it together. What'd you say? Excellent. All right, thank you. So the title of this year's talk is Bitcoin, AI, and the Return of Human Creativity. Why I believe that we are entering a human renaissance. So Act 1 is something feels off. When I talk to my friends that I grew up with, or when I talk to you guys in the expo hall, when I see you guys out in the town, this is kind of the energy that I would describe we all have. Is there enough room for me in this world, in the future? What is the future going to consist of, and is it going to be good for me? And there's a lot of data that backs this feeling that we all share. This is the consumer sentiment measurement by a university in America. And the consumer sentiment, how we all feel, has never been lower. It's been lower than COVID, lower than the 2008 financial crisis, lower than the dot-com bubble crash. People have never felt worse. They've never had worse sentiment. Our real wages, our real earnings are declining. Inflation is back. And even if you're getting a raise right now, your money's buying you less stuff. You're getting less food, you're getting less housing, you're getting less vacations, and that's already happening again. On top of all of that, we now have this AI thing. And so this piece, US workers are more worried than hopeful about the future of AI use in the workplace. This was a study conducted. 77% of people think that political chaos will be caused by AI. 71% of people think AI will take their job. 66% of people think AI will replace the need for in-person connection and real relationships. And 61% of people are really worried about the energy that AI consumes. On top of that, our youth, the young adult, aged 19 to 29, are living at home in their parents' basement. And I don't mean that to be offensive. I mean that to be concerned. More of our young adults, our children, are living with their parents than the Great Depression. Say that one more time. More of our 19 to 29-year-old children, adults, are living with their parents than the Great Depression. And even worse than that, not only are they struggling financially with rent, with an ability to afford their own life, but they're struggling mentally. This is depression by age group. That's not a good trend. 1 of every 5 of our children are depressed. In 2023, the CDC found that 40% of child students had feelings of sadness, and this part makes me terrified. Hopelessness. Hopelessness is a devastating emotion. No hope for the future is terrifying. 20% of those students considered taking their own life. And almost 1 in every 10 of our children tried to take their life. So I would say it's safe to say things feel off. The stock market's at all-time highs, but human sentiment is at all-time lows. Things are weird. Do you guys agree with that? Now the question is, was it always this way? Is this just the human experience? When you're born into this world, is this just how it goes? And this is where we turn this keynote around, because the answer is no. So Act 2 is that we were born to create. We were born to do unbelievable things. Okay? I think we're capable of extraordinary things. We used to take on projects that would take 200 years, change the world. We would work on stuff that we wouldn't be alive to see finished. I love this quote by Stefan Zweig. Every stone was a memorial of a glorious past. To me, that's what it meant to be human, to create things, to contribute to the world. One of my favorite examples, if we want to look all the way back at human history and see how amazing are we as humans at creating, at art, at culture, at being happy, at having purpose, at looking at the future and being excited. I think Florence, the Renaissance in Florence, is probably one of my favorite examples. So, Brunelleschi, I know I'm in Europe, you guys like my Italian? Brunelleschi, bravo. He's one of my favorite people in human history, okay? Brunelleschi was an Italian architect. He was a designer, goldsmith, a sculptor. But his most impressive feat is he is the founding father of Renaissance architecture. He was the architect who built the dome of the Florence Cathedral, which, by the way, is the same type of architectural structure for buildings like the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. This guy, in 1400, designed how to have beautiful, long-lasting structures and domes in part of the most important buildings in human history. Look at that thing. Look at how beautiful this is. Do you guys know how long it took to build this building? 140 years. It's crazy to me because I would be surprised if Facebook lasted another decade. It's really hard to comprehend. 140 years. And I guess my point is that Florence wasn't beautiful by accident. It wasn't a luck of the draw. It wasn't a flip of the coin. Florence was beautiful because this is what happens when civilization compounds talent through generations. And you have a stable floor and a good culture and a good taste and artistry and a positive future and hard money. All of these beautiful humans, unbelievable creators, lived in the same time period. Did you guys know that? In the same town. Brunelleschi, Michelangelo, Botticelli, Machiavelli, Leonardo da Vinci. Did you guys know that? This is crazy to me. This level of genius in a small radius inside a town, a city, in one generation. I mean, Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel, a ceiling with more than 300 figures, and it took him 4 years to paint this. The creation of Adam. I mean, this is beauty, this is art. And mind you, all of these most impressive, most giving, most highest contributing people to society and the way we relate to each other and we think about each other and what they created lasted hundreds and hundreds of years. They weren't hedge fund bankers. They weren't venture capitalists. They were artists. They inspired. They didn't rent-seekingly extract from our kids. They were natural creators. What about the sculpture of Adam? This is a 17-foot sculpture from the 1400s that was carved from a block of marble that everyone threw in the trash. That's what humanity's about to me. Botticelli, The Birth of Venus, the statue of David, The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, this is a mural painted over 500 years ago that still shapes the culture that we have today. Mona Lisa. So my point is, we were born to make. We landed on the moon, contributing to genome science. We built cathedrals. This is my favorite library in the world. This is Trinity Library in Dublin. Was founded in 1592. And this picture just makes me want to read. And I dropped out of college. I'm the worst reader in this room, but it just makes me want to read. And the point was that, like, beauty wasn't reserved for the rich. It wasn't reserved for Wall Street or for Silicon Valley. Do you guys know what this building is? Hint, it's not SpaceX's headquarters. What do you think? This was a train station. This is Penn Station from 1910. At the time, this was the largest building in the world ever built at once. A train station. Look at how beautiful this thing is. This was the largest indoor space in New York City at the time. Not Ken Griffin's penthouse, right? Not Goldman Sachs' office. A train station for all of us to communicate, to meet, to express, to be excited. Look at that. The stairs down there takes you to Long Island. Long Island. Accents all over the place. That's not Snooki and reality TV. That's beautiful. This is beautiful. So the question that I have for the world and for you guys today is not whether or not we still produce genius, okay? Yes, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, these guys are bright, they're great, they're phenomenal. The question I want you guys to think about is where civilization allocates genius. Because what we just talked about, these are artists, creators, architects, philosophers. Now, all the guys that are genius today and girls are venture capitalists, hedge fund traders, high-frequency PFOF engineers, right? Social media moguls. So sure, we didn't get dumber. We're human. We're genius. But where is genius allocated in society, right? The question I have is, what happened to the smart kid? Did the smart kid stop dreaming to be Leonardo da Vinci? Stop dreaming to build Penn Station for society? And did he start dreaming to be a venture capitalist? And so Act 3 is that the money changed, okay? What happened to the smart kid, where genius is allocated within society, I think has to do with the money. So money changes behavior. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. That's not a Bitcoin statement, that's a fact. Because money is stored human effort. You wake up, you don't hit snooze on your alarm, you don't go to the beach, you don't take a nap, you go to work, you do stuff, you work hard, you sacrifice, you contribute. In return for that, you get money, right? In a way, money is stored human dignity. Money is also our time. How do you take the valuable time that you're spending now with you in the future? Money is time, time is money. Jay-Z. Money is also information. It's fundamentally, at the end of the day, it's who owes what to whom. Who has done valuable things? It tells us all what to build. It tells us all what to do. Should I walk? Should I drive? Should I fly? Or should I fly a private plane? It's information. It's a way for humans to exchange information, allocate each other's efforts, and exchange directly with the value we're all creating. And so if money is information, information creates incentives. Incentives shape human behavior. Behavior shapes civilization. You show me the type of money you're using, and I'll show you the outcome. Right? If you change the money, if you mess with the money, you'll fuck around and change the world and change society. For good or for really, really, really bad. Right? Those who control money control society. Now, this quote from Peter Turchin is a little spooky. This guy is not a Bitcoiner. This guy uses mathematics to look back at history and make predictions about the future. It's a really niche form of science. But I find this quote in the realms of Bitcoin and what we're living in today fascinating. He said, and I quote, "Something happened in the United States during the 1970s. According to a number of indicators, well-being of the majority of Americans, which had been growing for many decades, entered a regime of stagnation and eventually decline. The trend towards greater equality in incomes and wealth was reversed. Social cooperation within the political and business elites and between elites and the rest of the population began unraveling." That's crazy. That's not a Bitcoin opinion. That's not a gold bug opinion. That's not an S&P 500 opinion. That's a math plus history plus science opinion. Fascinating, right? What do you guys think happened in 1970s in the United States? Does anyone have a good guess? That's right. The United States severed the link between the dollar and gold. Now, we'll never know if this is the true reality, right? I'll never be able to prove this, like I can prove 1 + 1 = 2. That's not the claim I'm making. But I have a really good feeling. I have a really strong idea. Okay? This is from the New York Times, August 16th, 1971. Nixon orders a 90-day wage price freeze, asks tax cuts, new jobs in a broad plan, and the last line, the most important line, and arguably one of the most consequential lines in human history, the United States severs the link between the dollar and gold. And the reason that this is relevant, and I want you guys to remember this date, 1971. In 1971, the final link between money and scarcity was severed, was broken. And for the first time in human history, the global reserve currency became unconstrained. The thing that is our time, the thing that is human effort, the thing that is our dignity, the thing that is the information layer that we use to communicate with each other. Hey, this is the value I produced. I need to eat. I need to live. I need to take care of my kid. I need to go on vacation. It was broken in 1971. And so that brings me to Act 4, is that the floor from under us fell out. Da Vinci, Brunelleschi, Machiavelli, they were standing on a solid floor, a hard money floor, a golden floor, if you will. I question if we have been standing on a solid floor. I think that our floor fell out. So what were the consequences of the money changing? Basically, so what? Who cares? You know, this is going to be on YouTube. Here's the camera. This is going to be on YouTube. The algorithm's going to promote it to someone who doesn't really understand Bitcoin, doesn't really care about all these topics, and they're going to be like, cool, this guy has a weird conspiracy that 1971 something happened. Who gives a shit? Well, I'll tell you why. Firstly, since 1971, you made more stuff, you were more productive for the world, but you earned less income. You see that line? That's 1971. So you were working harder, that's net productivity in the red, but you were earning less. That's your hourly compensation for the productivity. They used to go hand in hand, because why wouldn't they? If you produce stuff, you earn stuff. But after 1971, you produced a lot and you earned a little. What about income growth flowing to all of the population? For some weird reason, in 1971, income growth stopped flowing to the bottom 90% and concentrated to the top 1%. Weird. Are there such coincidences? I don't know. What else happened? You now can't afford the life that your parents had. And I'm not making fun of you. I'm not being hard on you. I'm saying that houses moved out of reach. So in red is the average home value of a house, and in gray is the median household income. So back before 1971, everyone worked hard and therefore could live with a roof over their head. Nowadays, it doesn't really matter how hard you work. You're probably living with your parents. Pretty fucked up, right? What about personal savings? Well, personal savings is in red, so our ability to save, how much of our income, of our paycheck, of the work we're doing is going towards putting it away to save for our future. Well, not a lot anymore because prices keep going up. So personal savings is down, and so how are humans just getting by? How are we just able to afford the grocery bill or the rent or the car note? Look at debt. After 1971, personal savings has been on a permanent decline, and debt has been on the permanent rise. What about the fact that if you saved, it costs you everything? What do I mean by that? Well, since 1971, for every dollar you saved, today it buys you 12 cents worth of stuff. Whoops. Now, homes got 1,600% more expensive. The S&P 500 got 30,000% more expensive. Oh, so you worked hard, you saved money since 1971? Joke's on you. You live in your parents' basement. You don't get to go on vacation. You don't get to eat high-quality food. You don't get a car. Whoops. So, what did we all do? Where did our genius go? What did our kids start to aspire to become? Well, they followed the money. This is manufacturing in the United States of America. It plummeted. You can't be an architect and build a cathedral and have the American dream. You can't be a philosopher, a historian. You can't build things with your hands. That's not where the money is anymore. Since they started printing it, manufacturing has fallen off a cliff. What's grown? If nobody's manufacturing stuff, if no one's building beautiful structures with their hands, painting art for 4 years straight, sculpting Adam, what are they doing? Weirdly, since 1971, we've had an explosion in lawyers. I love my lawyers. They keep me out of trouble. So that's not a diss. But this is important. Where is human talent and human genius going? Where are we incentivizing our kids to dream? You used to wake up and want to build a structure for 200 years and contribute to art and culture, and now you wake up and you want to be a lawyer? This is the percentage of GDP that is finance. So what are people doing instead of art and philosophy and culture and creating and being their true selves? Well, they're becoming a finance bro. You want the American dream? It's on Wall Street, right? One of my smartest buddies from my hometown, his name's George. Shout out to George. Smartest of all of our friends, by far. Do you know what he does for a living? And he makes a great living, and he's a great guy. He's an engineer at a high-frequency trading firm doing payment for order flow of Robinhood customers. That's where our genius is today. In 1400, George is probably Leonardo da Vinci. But today, I won't say the company he's at, but think of it like Citadel. He's on Wall Street. Look at this. Since 1971, paper speculation became more popular than physical production. This is the growth of futures contracts against industrial production. We also started to buy credentials that meant nothing. So this is grading inflation against US colleges. So whether you were in private school, public school, it didn't matter. Since 1971, look at that growth. This is the University of Michigan's GPA, the grades everyone was getting, versus how expensive it was to get the tuition in the first place. Did you learn something valuable? Were you a smart kid, or did you just pay $40,000 to sit in calculus class? Sorry, I might be offensive, but... And then we stopped believing all of this stuff. This is confidence in major US institutions since 1971. You can only fool us for so long. We're not dumb. We are not ants. We are humans. We built the cathedrals. We built art. We are creators. You can't fool us forever. This is public trust in government since 1971. Look at that. And so where we are today and why we feel so down and why we feel so sad, in my opinion, is because we are inheriting and having to fight through and having to live through the consequences. Even our music, US music has grown darker and more stressed. If you guys can pause and look at this later, but this visual shows that the amount of stressful lyrics and lyrics about stress and sadness has gone up since 1971. And the sentiment, is music happy? Is it cheerful? Is it peaceful? Is it loving? Versus, is it grim? Is it sad? Is it angry? It's terrifying. Political language became simpler since 1971. Politicians went from explaining reality to divisively lobbying for your support. We went from wars aren't necessarily freedom. Let's think about this, to immigration bad. It's terrifying. Look at this. They think you're dumb. We went from making the next dollar becoming the most important thing in our lives. Since 1971, being very well off financially was once upon a time the least important thing. Who cared? Everyone was able to get a house. Everyone was able to get food. Everyone was able to have kids. If you were super rich, good for you. But it was about creating an art. Now, decades later, it's the only thing people care about. The average age of marriage has gone up. The average child per woman has gone down. And the average divorce rate has skyrocketed. These are the consequences. Our families are being destroyed. Our culture has been destroyed. Make sense? The future stopped feeling like it was worth investing in. That's the depression that our kids have. The problem is it wasn't necessarily the future that we were promised. The question is how did we get here? What the hell is going on? And so Act 5 is reclaiming our time. What were we promised? How did we get here? Who made what mistake? Well, this is a quote. I'm not going to tell you guys who said it yet, but beware, the time for all this is not yet. For at least another 100 years, we must pretend to ourselves and to everyone that fair is foul and foul is fair. I'm going to say that one more time. We have to pretend to ourselves and to everyone else that fair is foul and foul is fair. For foul is useful and fair, being fair, is not. Do you guys know who said this quote? You know him. I'm not going to give it away. You know him, though. It was Keynes, the inventor of fiat currency. He wrote this in 1930, and his point was, we're going to have such an abundance from technology. All this growth, all this innovation, all this stuff humans are creating, we're not going to need money anymore. And for the time being, between now and then, we have to pretend that fair is foul and foul is fair. That was his point. And so Keynes imagined a world where machines solved for scarcity and liberated human beings from toil. He thought that productivity alone would free us. More machines, more output, more abundance, and eventually we would stop worshiping money and start living amongst each other. Okay. The problem is, cool idea, bro. The problem is we kept our end of the bargain. We worshiped their money. We called foul fair. Oh, inflation isn't your fault, it's our fault. Oh, I'm supposed to produce more but earn less? Oh, housing is supposed to get unaffordable and I'm supposed to be okay with it? We took you up on that. We listened. We said, okay, we'll believe in government. We'll believe in institutions. We'll believe that you guys have our best interest. And we kept building. But the problem is that the 100-year detour became permanent. Technology did create abundance. We did create the internet. We did create the car. We did create the plane. We are flying around the world, talking to each other on the World Wide Web. We did those things. Government did not do those things. Central banks did not build that. But they never made their end of the deal real. Scarcity was never really invented. Assets inflated. Fiat currency stole all of that productivity from us. And so this quote you guys know from Hayek, I don't believe we shall ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of the government. That is, we can't take it violently out of the hands of the government. All we can do is by some sly, roundabout way, introduce something that they can't stop. And so, the world that we were promised, that we were going to inherit all this abundance, all this innovation, all this technology, and we would be the beneficiaries of that. Our kids would benefit from that. That's what we were promised. That's why they supposedly invented fiat currency in the first place and knowingly pretended that fair was foul and foul was fair. That's their words, not mine. We had to engineer our way out of it. Because mind you, the people who manage the money benefit from managing it. The fix was never going to come from better discretion on their part. We've learned this the hard way. It came as rules, and those rules are enforced by code, and that code had to have been something that they can't stop. So, how's it going so far? Well, housing is more expensive in their money, which is in blue, and it's cheaper in our money, which is in Bitcoin yellow. You see, of what we were promised, Bitcoin restores the money part. Hard money lets you keep what you produce. It turns work back into savings. It restores patience. It gives abundance somewhere incorruptible to live. I spent my time. I spent my energy. I spent hard-working labor hours, and I'm going to put it here where you can't touch it. So Bitcoin saves the time that we spent. But the question is, what about the time that we have left to spend? And this, for me, is the AI part. People are all doomsday about AI. I'm not. I truly believe it's going to usher in a new art renaissance for us. Of all the AI stories I could have done, whatever, Claude Bot, whatever, blah, Sam Altman, this is my favorite. A dude and his dog, a man's best friend. This guy's dog was dying of cancer, and he used AI to design a cancer treatment that was previously conceived to be impossible. How cool is that? Previously, you needed to be thousands of hours of research and dozens of doctors and hospital machinery. This took a civilization to do before, and this guy did it with like a couple $100 of Claude tokens or whatever. That's unbelievable. And so AI does the other part of what we were promised. It multiplies what we can do with the time ahead. No, it's hard because I'm not trying to like pick out a certain profession and say they're bad. No one's bad. I love everybody. But like, I don't know if any kid grew up not wanting to be a professional athlete or a philosopher or an astronaut and land on the moon, but instead wanted to be in compliance and wanted to KYC people. And so my point is that AI does not replace human creativity. Human creativity is why we're here, guys. That's why I brought us to Florence 500 years ago. We're the creatives. Machines aren't creative. Machines don't have taste. Everything that ChatGPT creates for me that's art looks like shit. We make it beautiful. But what AI does do is it replaces the cognitive drudge, the slog. Ugh, I gotta get up to work and go KYC people. Fuck that! It takes the work that no child ever dreamed of doing, and it gives your one good mind, your one good life back to you, so that you can do what you want. You need to model out a bunch of financial statements. You need to write a legal document. You need to process a compliance risk assessment. Just pay OpenAI a couple $100. Don't do that with your life, with your creativity, with your soul. So AI brings down the marginal cost of intelligence. We all have access to everything we need to know in our pocket. It closes the distance between intention and creation. This man wanted to save his dog, but because of AI, he did save his dog. That's amazing. And so the productivity that it grants us restores our ability to become creators again, in my opinion. Engineers, architects, artists. We build our tools, and thereafter, our tools shape us. If we're all lawyers, if we're all compliance analysts, if we're all hedge fund managers on Wall Street, if we're all raising a Silicon Valley venture capital fund, what is that shaping for our children and for our future? So, in my opinion, Bitcoin does not free us from work. Proof of work is required. If I've ever learned anything from Bitcoin, it's that. Just because I own Bitcoin, I don't get to sit on my ass all day and eat chips. What Bitcoin does is it frees the work from debasement. And AI does not free us from purpose. AI frees purpose from drudgery, from sludge. And so my last act is the Renaissance. Because the question is, now what? Hopefully, what I've been able to communicate is things feel off right now. And I'm not afraid to get up on stage and tell you that and acknowledge that. You're not weird, you're not wrong, you're not different, you're not unique. We all feel it. And we feel it because something weird happened in 1970s. I think that's pretty good damn evidence as to what could have went wrong. Money changes behavior. Money is critical to a functioning society. And if you change the money, you will change the world, both for the good and for the bad. And so we all stopped painting beautiful ceilings in the Sistine Chapel, building cathedrals that still stand today, influencing our children in a positive manner, and we all had to follow the money. We all had to try and survive. So now that we have the tools, I believe that humanity is about engineering a better world. We engineered the better money. We engineered intelligence accessible to everyone. Now what? I think, that's why I think this talk is going to be hopefully a little bit more hopeful and positive at the end, is I think the Renaissance isn't coming, it's already here. I truly, genuinely believe that. I know it's a bear market. I know the vibes are low. I know times are tough. But I think a very terrifying chapter is ending. When Satoshi released that white paper, that was the end of the beginning and the beginning of what's now. Just a few more AI examples. You know, a 23-year-old kid used his AI to solve a 60-year-old math problem. This is remarkable to me. Truly, like, genuinely awe-staggering. Or OpenClaw. I mean, listen. Everyone in the world now has a personal assistant. Does anyone know, this is my friend, Roya. Does anyone know Roya? Roya is one of the most incredible women I've ever met. She used Bitcoin years ago to pay Afghan women who were not allowed to have a bank account. Totally debanked. People complained about the volatility. Oh, Bitcoin's so volatile. You don't care about volatility when your government's oppressing you and removing your ability to use any money at all. And after the Taliban took over, reporters said that those same women used Bitcoin to save, earn value, transfer with each other, and actually start businesses and sustain a life. See, the revolution is here, in my opinion. It's already starting. It's not something we're hopeful about. It's not something we're waiting for. It's right now. What about El Salvador? This was the most dangerous country in the world. Civil wars, destruction of currency, mayhem, chaos, gangs. They found hope in this thing. Would you look a Salvadoran in the eye and say, we're waiting on the revolution? They are safe in their streets. Their country is growing. Their money is hard. Their life is good. The revolution is here. AI and Bitcoin are real. And my message to you guys is really do not get slogged down by what's going on in the world today. I truly believe that harmony in society will be restored when personal responsibility is valuable again. Don't let these people get you down. We all now have access to intelligence. We have access to a computer that can do all white-collar work for us. We have access to the hardest money ever conceived in mankind. We can engineer our way out of this. We can do it. And so, for me, not to make this about me, but as an example, like, I choose to build. I've built my company with Bitcoin and AI. This is me like 10 years ago on my couch when I was getting into Bitcoin, and on the left is the first drawing ever of Strike's infrastructure. I choose to educate. The empty closet. You gotta smile, look them in the eyes, and be like, you can't print any more of this shit, brother. And I choose family. I know I've inundated the internet now that I got engaged, but sue me, I love my fiance. And we're planning our wedding when I get home. We're gonna look at some wedding venues together. And we can't wait to have kids. And And I think we all now have a choice because of what Satoshi created, because of AI, because of all of you in the room. You know, Bitcoin is a project that is carried by, defended by, and ultimately will succeed or fail on us, everyone in here. The Stay Humble Stack Sats, the little DCA, the excess cash that you had, the startup that you're building, the customer support ticket that you're helping out with. We make a break whether this is going to work or not. And because of what we're doing and what we're building and the fact that we're all here, we have a choice to choose building, to choose education, to choose family. I couldn't imagine a life without Bitcoin. I don't know if I would be engaged in thinking about kids. I don't know how hopeful I would be about my future. And so I think that civilization is a partnership between those before us, those that are dead, those that are living, and those that aren't born yet. And they built so that we can be here. And I think that we have a moral duty to build for our kids. They gave us paper money and paperwork. That's true. There's nothing we can do about that. We didn't really have a choice. However, because of the technology we have access to today, I think we can give our children Bitcoin and cathedrals. I really do. Is it cathedrals in space? I don't know. Go Elon. But do you guys know, now that my keynote is over, what we get to do when we leave here? We get to build things. We get to do stuff. My dad always told me, don't be afraid of crying. You could cry. Emotions are healthy. But when you're done crying, let me know, because we got shit to do. You know? So we're in the beginning of the human renaissance. The technologies that we're all working on today, I think can save us from a scary time. So you're not wrong. You're not feeling something that no one else is. We all feel it. These slides resonated with all of us. But we're doing something about it. That's why we're all here in Prague. And when we walk out of this room and we wake up tomorrow, we get to do stuff. We get to build stuff. We get to stop crying and build a better world for our children. And that's what I think Bitcoin and AI really represents. So thank you, guys.